I can see clearly now that Mitch is gone. I don't know, that's not funny. I mean, y'all had to suffer through the Mitch Trubisky years, man. Rough, but the Bears, they made a clutch move. Trading up for Justin Fields may have been one of my favorite moves in the draft. But will he play this year? They did promise Andy Dalton that he would be the starter, and it sounds like he will be the starter going into the season. But for how long? Well, we'll see. We're going to do a breakdown of the Bears roster, a deep dive, so to speak, and then I'm going to give you my projected starters and my prediction on how they will fare in the 2021 season. What's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know. So I am recording this on Sunday, and this is probably going up Thursday, I believe. I'm camping for the week, so I'm going to be gone, so I don't think there's going to be really big, significant free agent moves that might change the roster here, so to speak, or even my predictions. But if there is, I wasn't in town. I'm sorry. I just wanted to get y'all some content. I don't think it'll change much of what I have to say here. But I guess let's go ahead. Let's get in. Leave a thumbs up if you enjoy or at least appreciate the content. And, of course, become a bro and subscribe. Let's take a look at the roster here. All right, Bill Lazor. I'm quite familiar with Mr. Lazor. He was in Miami for a brief time. And what he really likes, he likes to incorporate he's like an RPO heavy type of guy. He likes, I mean, that worked to Mitch Trubisky's benefit, or at least you would think. And he loves the inside zone blocking scheme when it comes to the run game. And I think that's really good for David Montgomery. They just got they got to be able to block. That's the thing. Montgomery, more often than not, was getting hit before he even got to the line of scrimmage, dude. Like, he is a really good running back. He is really good. The thing is, you got to be able to get him started. I mean, they have a healthy Tariq Cohen. They bring in Khalil Herbert. I was a big fan. I think Herbert was like my fourth or fifth. No, he was my fifth running back coming into this last draft class. Damian Williams is there, a good journeyman that everyone's going to remember, just the drop pass in the Super Bowl, unfortunately, with him, but is what it is. So what we're going to see with Bill Lazor, I think, assuming since they did draft Justin Fields, this offense is going to be tailor fit to Justin Fields. I don't think it's going to matter too much with Andy Dalton. Yeah, they'll do some things less than they would with Justin Fields, but I think for the most part, we're still going to see a very run pass option for Dalton. I imagine. I mean, let's be honest. Fields is the quarterback of the future, so they're not going to change too much of what they want to do offensively just because Andy Dalton there is the starter. When it comes to the tight end, because like a lot of people, myself included, wasn't that a big fan of the Cole commit pick. And I mean, the meme was the Bears have 10 tight ends on their roster. That was kind of a meme. But Komet, I think, now becomes a starter there. Jimmy Graham, it sounds like he's playing this year. I don't know. We'll see about that. But I expect a big jump for Cole Kmet. I think especially early, you talk about tight ends being like the security blanket for quarterbacks, and that might be the case, especially if Justin Fields gets a little bit more playing time. I think in all honesty, my prediction is Justin Fields maybe hits the field week 5, week 6. He might hit the field early. I think it'll just take one or two ugly performances from Dalton for him to hit the field. But Andy Dalton he's a very vet savvy quarterback. So we'll see if that really happens. Also, coming from the mini camps, it sounds like that Marquise Goodwin and Damari Bird are favorites to replace Anthony Miller in the slot. Keep in mind, Miller was on the trade-in block. They were openly like, "Hey, we are shopping this guy." So I don't know if Andy Miller how many times have I said Andy Miller? But Anthony Miller, I don't know how many snaps he will see. I mean, looking at the receiver position, they got some weapons. Allen Robinson may be one of the best receivers in the league to not play with a good quarterback. That's just the case when you're playing with the likes of Blake Bortles, and sneak in Mitch Trubisky. It's just the case, dude. The guy deserves better, and I think he's got better. Honestly, like, Andy Dalton's not half bad, but let's be honest, it's Justin Fields we're excited about. Darnell Moody came out, looked really good his rookie year for being an undersized receiver. The guy's very, very competitive at the catch point. He can stretch the field vertically. He does a lot after the catch. I'm a big fan of his game. They do have Riley Ridley there. It's kind of whatever. They do have Daz Newsome. I don't know if he even makes the roster. He might make the practice squad. They might opt to keep more veteran players there at receiver, but we could maybe see him this year. Maybe he does make the roster over like a guy like Javon Wims, who's best known for punching Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. But let's talk a little bit about the offensive line. So keep in mind, like, their offensive line was not healthy last season whatsoever. I think we're going to see a better offensive line, and that's kind of the question. It begs the question, Tevin Jenkins. Like, I think he's pro ready, but now he's making the switch from right tackle to left tackle. We have seen that work with guys like Jedrick Wills last year. So it could work. And I think a healthy James Daniels is clutch. Cody Whitehair is exceptionally solid player there. I think he's going to end up playing right guard, and they're going to have Sam Mustipher play center. I've heard a lot of good things about him going into or in the mini camps, and he saw a lot of playing time last year. The question is who plays right tackle. I think they're just going to go with Jermaine Ifedi. They brought in Elijah Wilkinson, but he's more of a replacement starter at best. Larry Borum is interesting. I think a guy that probably projects better at guard. So he could be there if maybe we see Daniels and Whitehair go down, which they have in recent years. Maybe he gets some playing time there, or maybe he is the backup at right tackle. We'll see. Cole Kmet is actually a very solid blocking tight end. So, I mean, even at the tight end position, they bring in Jake Butt, a guy that just can't stay healthy for any stretch of his career. Maybe he comes in there, emerges as maybe the tight end 3. I think that would be interesting to watch. I don't know if he even makes the roster, to be honest. But this offense, I think it'll look obviously vastly different under Justin Fields than Andy Dalton. With Andy Dalton, this offense feels a lot safer. But, man, I love the upside with Fields, man. I was a big fan of Fields going into the draft. When I was watching him fall, I'm just like, I don't get it. Why aren't teams moving up for this cat? And it happened. That was good for you, Bears. So it'll be very interesting. I think they're going to opt for maybe like a Bird or a Goodwin in the slot. Like Goodwin, too. That dude can stretch the field. Maybe more so for Fields. Andy Dalton, he's not really going to be slinging it downfield very often anymore, man. His arm's starting to get a little bit shot. Keep in mind, Nick Foles is still on the roster, too. So that'll be interesting. But let's be honest, it's his defense. His defense is what's going to keep this team competitive this season. They do have new, I believe, first-year defensive coordinator, right? Sean, was it Desai? Right? But here, let me check this out. But he's actually very familiar with Vic Fangio. I think we're going to see a very similar scheme. Yeah. Okay, he was a safety coach last year for the Bears. Okay, yeah. So this is his first year as actual coordinator, but he actually spent some time with when Vic Fangio was the defensive coordinator for the Bears. I think we're gonna see. I think it's gonna be a very similar offense. It's gonna be 3-4 base defense. We're gonna see a lot of too high looks, and they're gonna play a lot of cover 3 and a lot of quarters. Now, I think they might bring a little bit more pressure because, I mean, they got guys that can do that. And Khalil Mack, obviously, probably one of the, at this point, it feels like he's very underrated because no one really talks about him as being a guy that just creates pressure. But keep in mind, there's a reason that they paid the world to get Mack on the squad. And then Robert Quinn as well. I'd like to see a bit more of Travis Gibson in the rotation there. He was a guy I was pretty high on feels like a couple of years ago now. But I think the interesting battle happening is in the secondary, man. Who's going to be playing the corner opposite of Jalen Johnson, who I love? And Jalen Johnson, honestly, oh, man, watch out. I think he's going to be a stud in this defense. I really do. Him and Eddie Jackson. Well, Eddie Jackson, dude's kind of a playmaker, kind of a ball hawk. But who will play that opposite side of Jalen Johnson? And you might, like, I don't blame you. I thought the same thing. Desmond Trufant, they brought a reliable vet in. But word out of minicamp, and it is just minicamp, take things for a grain of salt. We'll figure out a bit more once training camp starts. But it sounds like Kendall Vildor, the former rookie last year out of Georgia Southern, is the early favorite to start opposite of Jalen Johnson, despite them bringing in Desmond Trufant. And I find that very interesting. Vildor, he played some games last year, and he struggled here and there, but yeah, I think that's very, very interesting. It's not like they have a lot of guys that really can challenge outside of Trufant on the outside there. Like Artie Burns, that's funny. I could tell a good joke, too. I mean, hey, I'm a Hurricanes fan. I knew what Artie Burns was going to be going into the NFL, but yeah, that's going to be very interesting. I think Thomas Graham Jr., a guy I was pretty high on, as I think he's going to be just a very good slot player in the league, and I think I think he starts opening day. I think he's going to play all 17 games there for the Bears in the slot. I think that was a very good pickup. I'm very excited to see him play, and I really don't see anyone challenging him in that. I mean, Duke Shelley, like, come on, man. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest worry is probably for me, it's who starts opposite Jalen Johnson. Will they be able to hold up? But I have confidence in the pass rush. I mean, you could go and look at even their defensive line. They have a good depth of rotation players that are just solid. Like Bilal Nichols, like, talk about underrated, man. This guy gets it done. Akeem Hicks, I know he was another guy put on the trade block, or like, so to speak. But they get a healthy Eddie Goldman back. Mario Edwards, they brought back. He's a good rotation guy. Like, even Mike Pennell, dude, coming from KC, like, another guy that's been very good when called upon to bring something to the rotation. Like, this is a very good defense. We didn't even get to the linebacking core there with Rayquan Smith kind of emerging after, we saw some good things from his rookie season and then injuries, but he came back this season and he looked the part, dude. He looks like a top 10 linebacker. Danny Trevathan, just a reliable vet at this point. Yeah, they don't have depth there at linebacker, is what it is, but I mean, you could honestly say, oh, if this team stays healthy, they're going to be like a top 10 defense. You could really say that about, almost about any squad if they stay healthy. But I really believe that this defense is going to keep them in a lot of ball games this year. But let's just go ahead to my starters. When I do my projected starters, it's based on snap counts. I don't care what your starters are in a base package. Tell me who's going to be on the field the most. That's basically how I figure it. So going to my starters, I got, obviously, I'm telling you, Justin Fields, I bet you he plays this year. I think he might need a little bit of development. What rookie quarterback doesn't? But I think he is one of these guys that can come in year one and play for your football squad. David Montgomery, but he's got a lot of help back there, David Montgomery. So with a healthy Cohen, and then maybe Williams and Herbert are interesting options there too. Allen Robinson, Darnell Moody. I'm going to go with a veteran. Like, I really like Anthony Miller. That's the thing. But I'm going to go with that they opt to play like a Bird in the slot. Like, this guy feels like he's been around the league forever. He had stints in Cincinnati and New England. Cole Kmet should see a bigger role this year. Then I got Jenkins, Daniels, Mustafa, Whithair, and Ifedi. Offensive line, it feels weak, but it's not I don't think it's a bad offensive line. I mean, outside of like right tackle, I guess you could make a case for center, but I feel solid enough with this offensive line. It's not like it's a terrible offensive line, you know. I think they could. I think it's fine, especially with how they. Well, it's fine for the passing game. It's not so fine for the run game. I think David Montgomery's still going to be getting hit in the backfield quite a bit, but I think at the end of the day, this team will be very successful passing the football, even if it's Andy Dalton. But let's talk about the real stars of the show, the defense. Khalil Mack, Robert Quinn, they're your lead edge. I got Nichols and Hicks. To me, they're the best players on the defensive interior, so they're probably going to see the most amount of snaps. Smith, Trevathan, and linebacker Johnson. I'm going to go with the minicamp hype and put Vildor here at the other outside corner spot. I mean, very well, it could be Desmond Trufant. Thomas Graham in the slot, and then Jackson and Gibson at safety. In terms of predictions, here we go. I think this is baseline for the Bears. They are a 500 to slightly sub 500 team. They've been that way for years now, and I think it's gonna continue, but because we're gonna see Andy Dalton early, like I really think we might end up seeing like the minute Andy Dalton starts struggling, I think like honestly, if we see him struggle hard against the Rams and the Browns, which are two very vicious defenses, we could see Justin Fields come in week 4, especially against a Detroit Lions team you are expected to beat and fillet. Yeah, why not throw Justin Fields out there and see what you got? And then you got the Las Vegas Raiders, which their defense isn't really putting fear into a lot of offensive coordinators. So those aren't not bad back-to-back starts if you want to see what you got early on at Fields. So I think that's very interesting. And obviously they got a hard schedule, one of the hardest here, but because I also anticipate the Packers to be good, just because until we know what goes on with Aaron Rodgers, I'm just going to assume he's playing this year. And I think the Vikings, they're a good squad too, so watch out for them. They got to face the NFC West, which might be the hardest division in all of football. So, yeah, that's not great. I mean, yeah, I think 8-9. I think 9 to 10 wins might be the ceiling for this squad. I don't see him going any further than 10 wins, though. But I think 8-9 is about right in kind of year one of... Can't even say year one of the Justin Fields era. It hasn't even started yet, or at least hasn't felt like it started yet. But shoot, they also got to face... Yeah, they got to face the AFC North, which is probably the toughest division in the AFC. So it's not an easy schedule by any means. So I think 8-9 is a pretty good prediction for the Bears. Let me know what you think. I know a lot of fans. You're a little bit more in touch with what's going on with the squad than a guy that's trying to do this for all 32 teams. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let me know if I got anything wrong, or you just want to have a good civil football discourse. But as always, until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.